Derek here at Civic Punks, and I'm here at the Public Sector Network's Innovation Week, Federal, so this is Ottawa, Canada, here with Andrew Jensen. Andrew, the genius behind this all, I guess. I don't know, what title should we give you?
Yeah, genius is a strong word.
We're stretching it definitely.
Co-founder, Chief Partnerships Officer.
All those fancy titles.
Yeah, basically, really.
You've got a whole, he's got his own name tag.
My own name tag? But really it's all just about how can we continue to build community between, first of all, with breaking down silos between governments here in Canada, today with federal government. We do this with Atlantic Canada, with all of the different provinces and local government, then across the US, Canada, New Zealand, Australia, the UK. So
all over the place.
Yeah, all over the place.
Yeah, you're showing the map of like the different places. It's quite
kind of doing it with a hand, right?
So it's been a wrap, 2 days. What has really stood out for you from these 2 days?
Yeah, I mean, it's really flown by. So when we talk about 2 days, yesterday we had our Digital Leadership Day, which was a smaller, more intimate group of leaders, really broken into 3 pockets of conversation, but all really talking about capability uplift across the government workforce. How can, as they look to move from Gov 2.0 to Gov 3.0, work on that digital transformation journey, how can they uplift the skill sets and capability of their staff, their teams, individuals? And how do you, one of the biggest takeaways I got from yesterday was the discussion around how do you, and there's different versions of this being shared, but how do you empower your teams to take chances, to take risks, to do things without fear of it going nowhere?
I think one of the things that was interesting about yesterday as well is I was surprised at how much self-care and burnout came up as a conversation, and also particularly through questions from the audience is where I think you get a real litmus test about where the community's at and what's important to them. And I mean, that makes sense given where we're at right now, but it's still interesting to see that compared to today, which had a completely different flavor to it.
Yeah, I mean, yesterday's more about that leadership group coming together, and then today it's about them coming together with their teams.
Yeah.
So, yesterday for folks out there who weren't here, about 100, 120 folks yesterday. Today, I think over 600. So, a lot more detailed conversations happening today. We had 4 different tracks running. We had a main plenary room at the start of the day. We had a separate cyber track, and then we had 3 other tracks that we broke into for 2/3 of the day across, all with an AI component weaved within them because that's such a hot topic right now. But the overarching themes were, one was around digital, one was around data, and one was around productivity. So where AI plays its part in each of those conversations.
Well, I think one thing that was definitely clear yesterday, but I think it also came out today a bit as well, is that AI is just an enabler. It's not, we're not just getting AI for the sake of AI. It's because we want better services, we want better policy, we want a more productive workforce, so we're using Canadian taxpayer dollars more effectively. So AI is an enabler, which is very much the frame. And it's this idea like we're using AI because it helps us, not because we need to use AI kind of attitude to it.
I think that's absolutely it, right? When we talk about that capability uplift. Technology is a tool, it's an enabler. For anything to truly change and for things to make a difference, it has to be outcome focused, it has to have that people component. How are they understanding, how are they using it? And I think Dom Rochon said it today, the CIO of Government of Canada, when he talked about, when he thinks about where AI sits, what is the problem you're trying to solve? What is the outcome you're trying to achieve? And I think that's if everybody works with that in mind, then it makes a lot more logical progression of what you might try to do.
Yeah. So a question I have for you is what surprised you about today?
What surprised me about today? I think, and this carried over a little bit from yesterday, I think I was surprised by still the air, as much as everybody's talking about the willingness to change and make a difference, that there is still roadblocks there. And when I say I'm surprised, it's not that I don't know it, but that I think people still feel that way. So I think that's, and that sits on both sides. I think the responsibility for that, it sits on leadership to remove some of those barriers, and I've heard some great stories today from some folks who are removing those barriers for their teams, and you're seeing some really good successes and wins, but there's still other areas where some of those folks feel those barriers are there. Yeah, but as I say, some of that sits on those teams and those workers who are feeling that way too, because they've got to ask the questions, they've got to talk to their leadership and find ways to maybe collaborate with other groups, and that's ultimately what we hope that comes from days like this. Is I've seen people meeting people that they didn't know, or or maybe they knew but they didn't know what they were working on. They knew each other broadly speaking. So I think that opportunity to, if you hear somebody that has had that success, maybe I can tap into their learnings and take that back to my team and department.
I think one thing that surprised me was this focus on objective and outcome over process. And we talk a lot about that importance, but to see it all the way from the top. There's something that, there's you had a bunch of like deputy ministers, assistant like ADMs who are here, and they were all saying the same thing. It's like the process comes secondary to outcome, which is really inspiring to hear. The question, of course, then is great, but how do we actually implement that coming out of this?
Yeah,
which I think is actually a good question. I'm going to channel my inner Joy. One of the questions she always asks me is, what is the one thing that you're going to take away from this and apply moving forward? So I thought it'd be a good question to ask you.
Ooh, okay. What's the one thing I'm going to take back and apply?
Andrew, what are you going to say?
I think for me, it's from some of these conversations. You had a conversation with a woman earlier, and yes, and we had a couple of those conversations where it's how can we as an organization help play our part. Like this event is just one day. Now everyone's going to go away and we're going to come back and do this again in a year from now. In between now and next year, how can we do things at PSN to help broker and help folks work through those challenges, whether it's collaborating with other teams, helping people who have ideas, because we have some really great connections at PSN with some of that leadership group who we know what their goals are and all their intentions are great and what they want to do. So how can we help get some of the ideas that maybe some of those folks like Adone don't have the access to share those. Maybe we can help get some of those ideas shared up the chain.
Well, and I think this is, for me, is always the interesting question. You go to these events, they're full of energy, they're full of ideas, you walk away, I feel like I'm energized, I'm pumped up. Great. Where do we go from here? How do we make sure we don't lose this energy so that next year when we get together back here in Ottawa, we're not having the same conversation again. We've moved the needle forward. And for me, that's the thing I keep thinking about, is what that looked like. And so I'm really interested. You guys have an online community that you guys, as a place that people can keep these conversations going. There's all sorts of different ways that people can stay involved with what you guys are doing to help move towards action, right?
That's exactly right. I mean, we always encourage everybody to sign up if they haven't already and join the Public Sector Network. It's a free platform. I sometimes describe it a little bit like a closed-door LinkedIn just for government. But what that really means is there's a whole community with a library of resources that they can access and share, not just from their peers in the federal government in Canada, but across all levels of government in Canada, Australia, New Zealand, US, the UK, and even beyond as well. As part of that, we also have other initiatives that we run throughout the year, such as our Research Innovation Councils, where we have cohorts in each of the cities that we run our events. We have cohorts that are formed, and we get them together at least once a quarter to, again, have roundtable discussions, share thoughts, share best practice. They're informal, casual discussions where they learn and come together. So lots of opportunities, I think, throughout the year for us to bring folks together to continue these conversations that come out of today.
Yeah, and I think what's next, at least for you and I, is Melbourne. Melbourne's happening in Australia in about a month from now.
Yeah, and you're going to be down there, I believe.
It's on the tour.
It's on the tour.
It's on the tour. It's happening. So we'll see you in Melbourne.
Awesome.
Amazing.